Hello, hi guys, welcome back to the Football Showdown channel. We are back with a new segment on this channel where we scout other players who are linked not just for the Arsenal but to all the clubs out there in the world. This segment, the TFS Scouting Report, where we bring in a proper technician who has spent a lot of time scouting his players, again, not just for the Arsenal but for all the clubs out there. In this segment, we'll be talking about how the player's qualities, his strengths, his weaknesses, how he fits into a specific team for a specific club as well. So do subscribe, let's build this community, and let's get straight into the video. Today, we are talking about a player who's been linked to multiple clubs in La Liga, multiple clubs in the Premier League, has had a phone call with a certain manager who's made sure that he signs for this club, the Arsenal. The player that we are going to talk about today is Martin Zubimendi. And to help me with that, the scout who's been there on this channel for a long, long time, the tactician who's been involved for a lot of streams and for a lot of videos. Let me call upon him today. Aarush, how are you?
Great, man. It's great to be back with this scouting series, the TFS scouting series. So, yeah, let's go. Let's see what we have in hand for this summer.
Definitely, definitely. Martin Zubimendi. I hope I have not butchered the name because I've gone and said multiple names for multiple players. But yeah, Martin Zubimendi. Thoughts, initial reactions. We got the here we go as well from Fabrizio Romano. A time where the club has not been doing well, and then we get something proactive. Imagine getting a here we go before even the window opens, right? Normally we get a here we go on a deadline day or like in the second month of the window. But yeah, here we are. Martin Zubimendi to Arsenal. Here we go. Initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts are that this is great, man. We just have had not a really positive campaign this season. And
Mm,
the windows we've had prior to this have been quite dry as well. So
mm,
getting a signing prior to the window beginning is just positive news under our new technical director, that is Andrea Berta.
mm,
So things are looking positive. Hopefully we get linked to many such names. But yeah, up to Martin Zubimendi.
mm, mm. Uh, People can obviously say that it's a Berta tap in. I know Edu and Arteta had done a lot of groundwork to make these things happen. Initial talks were that we've almost agreed in December, but obviously getting that certified here we go from Fabrizio Romano or that bomba from David Einstein is always going to be a plus, right? So,
Yes.
how is Martin Zubimendi going to fit into this team? Like, what are his initial things? Like, give us something about him. Like, if a new person watching regarding Martin Zubimendi, what do you think? Who he is, and just explain it to the viewers.
So a basic compilation of what Zubimendi is through speaking terms. Zubimendi is someone who's really simple with his actions. He's a
Mm,
very metronomic uh, controller in midfield that you can expect. He's got lots of composure to play from the back. He's very good at build-up play and also to dictate the tempo, which is all altogether something that Mikel Arteta's position-based side requires.
mm,
So it's like someone who would take Arsenal's long-term vision into the squad building to something that resonates personally with him,
right.
and then the complete experience that he brings from La Liga, being a European champion as well with
Mm,
Spain in recent years, and
mm,
all of this translating to replace Jorginho, who
mm.
is also known to be a very profound player in a role that of a deep line playmaker. So I think at 26, this is a very positive path for both parties to actually get a real midfield deal and actually complement the complete squad build that is going on at Arsenal.
Right, right. It's very exciting. It's very easy for us to get ahead of ourselves and just like forget the structure that we're trying to build for the audience. So let me just break it down. We're going to talk about the player profile now. Tell the audience regarding your scouting report on how what is Martin Zubimendi's profile like?
Yeah, let's start with the usual build-up play strength. So usually this guy sits as a deep line playmaker, DLP also known as, at Real Sociedad in Spain, where he is very good at receiving in like the tight spaces. He can draw the press by playing short passes, long passes, or also he can bait the press by actually carrying the ball higher up the pitch. So
Mm,
in basic terms, his role is to just keep the ball constantly moving as
mm,
fast as possible and
mm,
also get the ball into attacking spaces a lot quicker than usual.
mm,
So, what this translate to could also be he has less of the fancy aesthetic stuff that you would expect, but all these stuff translate well to the effectiveness in every action that he puts
mm,
out. So, as a player, his game as a defensive midfielder is warranted to need for the need of like a quick decision making, and then the technique that he uses and the proficiency in build up that he uses naturally as a defensive midfielder.
mm,
So as a regista, we all know a role of a regista is basically to merge the dots from defense to attack, something that Jorginho or a Partey also does for at times. So he
mm,
tucks in between the centre backs, then he gets on the ball as often as possible and then dictates play or the tempo of the game.
mm,
So one of his key abilities is his ability to carry the ball, and
mm,
that has become a trademark once he receives a pass.
mm,
So what he does is he receives the ball, he takes a quick turn, half turn under pressure with his back to goal. He can drop a shoulder and then he can also accelerate forwards. So
mm,
for this, the spatial awareness, the utilization of the space, the timing, the opponents next to him, his
mm,
own teammates, the vision to see movements of his own players, and then again the confidence that he does all of this is what resonates to his ball carrying ability. So
right,
whilst carrying, he has the ability to actually dribble and
mm,
take on players that is also reflected in his numbers statistically.
mm,
So let's come to something Arsenal related. We
mm,
know this very famous Arsenal's manager quote, that is Mikel Arteta's quote on when I lose a duel, I'm really upset.
huh,
And that is something Zubimendi fits straight as a bill in terms of being a positive duel winner.
mm, mm,
His ball retention in the defensive side of things is of the highest order
mm,
because statistically, Zubimendi has won possession in the midfield third more times than any other player since the start of the 2022 season. That's mean over 2 seasons he's got over 322 um, times that he's won possession, which is
mm,
simply amazing.
mm,
So
mm,
a guy of his stature likes to stand his ground in 1v1 duels, very good at winning duels, like I said. And he likes to block passing lanes. His reading of the game then is like a proper translation to how he can get into those crucial positions and
mm,
then intercept and tackle runners of the ball. So
mm,
these are some of his key aspects. Talking about
mm,
one underrated aspect that I really like of his, which
mm,
I've watched, are his aerial duels. He
mm,
might not be the tallest of players. I think he's a 5'10", 5'11" player,
right,
and his timing of the leaps are simply amazing because
mm,
the ability to win those headers and um, actually play them in zones which are not dangerous but reflect in the team's winning back of possession and stuff like that is
mm,
actually reflecting in the numbers that he produced, like you can see on the screen.
mm,
As a Spaniard, you'd expect praises for his passes to be something extraordinary, coming
mm,
from the land of Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, and stuff like that. You'd expect it to be something out of the blue. But this
mm,
guy is more of a minimalist, to be
mm,
honest.
mm,
Um, he releases passes like with the right amount of weight and the timing of the touches and all of that. It helps his angles that he finds in terms of passes. So, as a distributor of the ball, he has lots of variations in his passes. It can be like a threaded pass to break the lines,
mm,
accurate long balls that he plays, or like his trademark weighted pass with backspin, something that even Jorginho used to do at Arsenal very often. So it's
right,
the pausa that basically helps him to play the right pass at the right time, whilst
mm,
not being too flashy with his work.
right,
So one thing we know about Zubimendi is that he calls Xabi Alonso to be his idol. And
mm,
one thing Xabi Alonso said um, a couple of seasons back was he always thinks about his teammates more than himself.
mm,
So Zubimendi as a player has a persona in him that makes the other players around him play better, and he
mm,
also offers suggestions or
mm,
like solutions whilst the game is going on in terms of movements, constant movements that is.
right,
So the understanding of the game is so good that this dude can actually anticipate the next movements of
mm,
the opposition before even the ball gets to him or the passes or the action in general gets
mm,
close to him. So yeah, this is what his strengths or basic footballing ability lies around. So yeah.
right. Fair enough. Many Arsenal fans would want to know, how does he fit at Arsenal? Many people have their own ideas. Many people have a lot of assumptions on how he could be platformed in this Arsenal team. As per you, you are the scout here. You are the more technical person in majority of the Arsenal football spaces, right? What do you think is, or how do you think he's going to be fitting at the Arsenal?
First of all, I'm not a tactical person or a technician. I just get cooked on the timeline if I get some of this wrong, but
Okay.
it's just the understanding of the game, basically. So,
Uh,
um, at Arsenal, I think he has multiple ways to be positioned into the lineup. It is not solely on his ability to play those, but also Arsenal's ability to play different systems
hmm,
and then maneuver to whatever the opposition team or the game state speaks of.
right.
So at Arsenal, I think the tactical patterns and the versatility between the two parties,
Hmm,
I think they are a good collaboration. So
okay.
he can play as a DLP. He can also perform double pivot duties, and he can also play at the base of the diamond whenever we are bound to play one at Arsenal, because we know a diamond is basically what Mikel Arteta has been planning to play
Hmm,
for since like his early days of managerial career.
right.
So
Hmm,
what about this guy is it that elevates the side? It's his ability to actually fixate between the two center backs, have
hmm,
that one particular player there to
hmm,
dictate game flow.
hmm,
So he plays between the center backs, pushes higher whenever needed. According to game states, he can also jump higher, open up low blocks with passes, with carries, and
okay.
then this helps in the complete utilization of Declan Rice
Hmm,
and that of Martin Odegaard, who hasn't had that great of a campaign.
right.
Some say due to injuries, some say due to tactical reasons of him sitting deeper in game state. So, in half spaces, you can rely on both of those players to play higher up the pitch when they know that a Zubimendi presence is there behind them. Um, Zubimendi, as a left-footed player,
Hmm,
I think he can combine really well with Declan Rice. Why? Because someone who is expected to play as a left eight in that of Rice, I
hmm,
think he can play through his weaknesses,
hmm,
which is not solely on him staying deeper and carrying the ball in further up the pitch. We can
right.
utilize his strengths higher up the pitch, and
Hmm,
that also lets Odegaard stay higher up the pitch, right? So it
hmm,
helps on both sides. We get a natural progressor, someone who is very good defensively in terms of interceptions,
hmm,
and we get to have two of our key players positioned higher up and profiled very nicely,
hmm,
which
hmm,
is ideal. We don't know
right.
how it's going to turn up, which is ideal. So
Uh,
Arsenal are also expected to be keeping the likes of Thomas Partey, but
hmm,
letting the departure of Jorginho happen this summer, as
right.
of the time of recording.
Hmm,
So what I think is, um, Zubimendi could take time to adjust and
hmm,
adapt to the Premier League,
hmm,
to the style of play and stuff like that. But having a Partey presence at the base,
hmm,
one, because this is someone who's transitioned from Spain to England
right.
and made that route, and also for a fact that if Zubimendi is having difficulties, we have a profile of Partey who can take games upon
Hmm,
himself
hmm,
for for the amount of matches that he's expected to play or stuff like that if he's not injured and stuff like that.
hmm,
So I think the fundamentals of tempo, physicality, and stuff like that can
hmm,
actually see Thomas Partey deputize for Zubimendi, play
hmm,
the number one role when needed, and then let Zubimendi learn from the basics and
hmm,
make him from a rotation piece to a starter piece for us.
hmm,
So all of that translates really well. What we've spoken of is also a Jorginho, because Zubimendi is quite comparable to him. Why?
hmm,
Because of his profile solely, the
hmm,
register role that he plays. So like the reading of the game, the techniques and finding passes, the types of passes that he plays, and
hmm,
also how seamlessly he can transition between
hmm,
being a lone six and also playing like the double pivot duties,
okay.
right? So
Right.
as to thinking of a direct replacement, I really can't think of anyone who was better suited to play for Arsenal as a Zubimendi if they're looking to directly replace
Hmm,
Jorginho. So
hmm,
I
hmm.
think in terms of finding a long-term replacement for someone to be at at the heart of midfield and then dictate play, I think Zubimendi is the man.
Perfect. Like, it brings so much joy. Look, I know we're recording this video. I'm not faking any of my expressions for this. It's genuinely like it brings me so much joy that a player like this is going to be finally available for Arsenal. His services are required for Arsenal. The here we go has come as well. I mean, the problems that we had this season is that we were not able to progress the ball centrally, and we were missing a lot of those
Yeah,
long balls or those lobbing passes from Jorginho that we saw about like 2 seasons back when he was like physically fit enough to like handle the Arsenal tactics or the Premier League's physicality, right? So
yeah.
that's what I think. But what is your like final word? What is your conclusion about Zubimendi or Martin Zubimendi at the Arsenal?
My final words would be that of I'm really happy that we've actually gone early into signing a player.
Mm,
Having a player for preseason is actually key. Why?
mm,
Because someone who's transitioning from a different league, from a different play style and stuff like that, for him to come and adapt to like Mikel Arteta's football and
mm,
stuff in the preseason would be key because we've seen it with previous signings of how they've not been able to adapt and then they've struggled to make the difference in midfield. You can take an example of Mikel Merino itself, how he
mm.
found it difficult.
Yeah,
Fun fact: Zubimendi is going to reunite with Merino. He's going
mm.
to reunite with Odegaard, and he's going to hopefully reunite with Alexander Isak as
It's
well
like
at Arsenal.
yeah.
So things like that make me think that the perfect mold for a player of
Mm,
his type is coming to the
mm,
perfect use at this club.
mm.
So if everything is going well, if we get the actual announcement soon as well, it would be like a cherry on the top of this beautiful deal that we've struck.
Yeah.
And we go on to sign the next players in this window. So
Mm, mm, mm,
hopefully he has a wonderful spell
mm.
at Arsenal.
Yep. One final word. I think you forgot to mention. We spoke about it off camera. It's the fact that we can pay his release clause or his fee in
Yeah,
installments, which is
yeah,
great for the club where we can allocate other or the funds for to get another player as well, which we'll definitely discuss on this channel. And like I said initially, we are making this as a scouting segment. Do tune in, do subscribe, do like, and do share it with your friends and family who are interested to know what football regarding the footballing world or different aspects of a player's profile as well. Thank you
yeah.
so much for tuning in. If you like this video, do share it with your friends. Thank you, Aarush. Thank you so much for your time as well, and we'll be back very, very soon. Till then, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Peace. Bye bye.